over the past 30 years, working with thousands of patients, I've heard the same question asked in 1,000 different ways. And that question is, how do I lose weight as fast as possible? And I understand the urgency, I really do, because when you've been carrying extra weight for years, or even decades, when you feel uncomfortable in your own body, when your health is declining, you want results, and you want them now. But here's what I need you to understand before we go any further. The fastest way to lose weight is not what you think it is. The fastest way to lose weight is to stop trying to lose weight and instead focus on getting healthy. Because once you understand the mechanism of how fat loss actually works in your body, you'll see that intermittent fasting done correctly is the most powerful tool you have, but only when it's combined with the right nutritional approach. So today, I'm going to show you exactly how to use intermittent fasting to lose weight as fast as physiologically possible, and I'm going to explain the science behind why this works when everything else you've tried has failed. Let me start with the foundational principle that governs everything I'm about to teach you, and this is something that most people get completely backwards. The principle is this: you do not lose weight to get healthy, you must get healthy first to then lose weight. Now, I know that sounds counterintuitive because we've been programmed to think that being overweight is the problem, and if we could just lose the weight, everything else would fall into place. But that's not how your body works. Your excess weight is not the problem, it's a symptom of an underlying metabolic dysfunction. And until you address that dysfunction by giving your body what it needs to function properly, you're going to struggle. Getting healthy means providing your body with high-quality, nutrient-dense foods, so it has all the raw materials it needs to repair itself, to balance its hormones, to optimize its metabolic pathways, and to finally unlock those fat stores that have been trapped for years. When you give your body what it needs, when you remove the things that are damaging it, the weight comes off naturally, and rapidly because your body wants to be at a healthy weight. It's been trying to get there all along. But you've been unknowingly blocking the process. Now let me explain what happens inside your body when you implement intermittent fasting correctly. Because understanding the mechanism is what's going to give you the confidence to stick with this, even when it feels challenging at first. When we talk about keto or ketosis, we're referring to a specific metabolic process where your body breaks down fat into molecules called ketones. These ketones become your primary fuel source instead of the sugar that most people have been running on their entire lives. And here's what's so important to understand. Ketones are a much cleaner and more efficient fuel source than sugar. When your brain and your muscles run on ketones, they perform better, they have more stable energy, and most importantly, your body becomes incredibly efficient at accessing and burning your stored body fat. But not all ketogenic diets are created equal, and this is where people make critical mistakes. What I teach is called healthy keto, which is a specific version of the ketogenic diet that emphasizes high-quality ingredients and nutrient density, rather than just eating high fat and ignoring everything else. You cannot just eat bacon and cheese and butter all day and expect to get healthy, even if those foods technically put you into ketosis. You need the nutrients, you need the vitamins, you need the minerals, and you need the phytonutrients that come from real, whole foods. And that brings me to a very important point regarding intermittent fasting itself, because there's a lot of confusion about what this actually is. Intermittent fasting is not a diet, it's simply a pattern of eating and not eating. It's a schedule, it's a rhythm, and the entire goal of this pattern is to eat less frequently throughout the day. For most people, this means moving from eating 3 meals a day plus snacks to eating just 2 meals a day with absolutely no snacking in between. Now, why is this so powerful? Why is this so? Because every single time you eat, no matter what you eat, even if it's a small healthy snack, you trigger a spike in insulin. And insulin, as I'm about to explain in detail, is the hormone that completely shuts down fat burning. So when you eat 6 times a day, when you're constantly grazing and snacking, even if those snacks are healthy, you're triggering insulin 6 times a day, which means your body never gets a chance to access your fat stores. But when you condense your eating into just 2 meals within a compressed time window, you're only spiking insulin twice. And the rest of the time, your insulin levels drop low enough that your body can finally burn fat for fuel 24 hours a day. Now here's something fascinating that most people don't know. When you eat less frequently, your body's nutrient requirements actually go down. This sounds impossible, but let me explain the mechanism. When you're constantly eating, your body gets sloppy with nutrients because it expects more food to be coming soon, so it doesn't bother holding on to minerals and vitamins as carefully. But when you start fasting, when there are longer periods between meals, your body becomes much more conservative and retains nutrients better. Your intestines actually increase their absorption efficiency, your kidneys stop wasting minerals, and your cells become better at recycling and reusing nutrients. This is one of the reasons why people who practice intermittent fasting consistently often report feeling better, having more energy, and having fewer nutrient deficiencies than when they were eating constantly. Your body is intelligent, it adapts to the pattern you give it, and when you give it periods of fasting, it becomes remarkably efficient. Let me talk about the real enemy in your weight loss journey, and this is something I need you to understand at a deep level because it's the key to everything. The enemy is excess insulin, and insulin is dangerous when it's chronically elevated. Insulin is the primary reason people cannot lose fat, and here's why. Insulin is a storage hormone. Its job is to take energy from your bloodstream and store it away, and one of the main places it stores energy is in your fat cells. But here's the critical part. In the presence of too much insulin, your body is biologically blocked from burning stored fat. It doesn't matter how few calories you eat. It doesn't matter how much you exercise. If your insulin is high, the fat cannot come out of the fat cells to be burned. Think of insulin as a lock on the door of your fat cells, and as long as that lock is engaged, the fat is trapped inside. The only way to unlock those fat cells is to lower your insulin levels dramatically and keep them low for extended periods, and the fastest way to do that is through intermittent fasting, combined with a healthy keto approach that minimizes the foods that spike insulin the most, which are carbohydrates and sugar. Now, I want you to do something right now, and this is what I call the belly test. This is the easiest way to diagnose whether your insulin levels are too high. Look at your belly, look at the amount of fat you're carrying around your midsection. If you have prominent belly fat, your insulin levels are too high, period. There's no question about it. Belly fat, especially visceral fat that accumulates around your organs, is a direct result of chronically elevated insulin over months and years. That fat didn't just randomly decide to accumulate there, it's there because your body has been in insulin-driven fat storage mode for too long. And here's what makes this even more problematic. The more belly fat you have, the more insulin-resistant you become, which means your pancreas has to produce even more insulin to do the same job, which creates even more belly fat. It's a vicious cycle that accelerates over time, and the only way to break it is to address the insulin problem directly through diet and fasting. And that brings me to a very important point regarding the fears and concerns people have when they first hear about intermittent fasting. The most common fear is that they're going to be starving, that they're going to be miserable, that they're going to lose all their muscle and waste away. Let me address this directly because it's based on a complete misunderstanding of human metabolism. You are not starving when you fast, you are simply switching your fuel source from dietary sugar to your own stored body fat. Your body is carrying tens of thousands of calories of stored energy in the form of fat, and fasting is simply the biological signal that tells your body to access that stored energy. Once your body adapts to burning fat between meals, once you build the cellular machinery to efficiently produce and use ketones, something remarkable happens. Hunger and sugar cravings naturally disappear. I'm not exaggerating. They literally go away because your blood sugar becomes stable, your energy becomes steady, and your brain is getting a constant supply of fuel from ketones. You don't feel hungry because you're not actually running out of fuel, you're just using a different fuel source. Now let me address the muscle loss concern, because this is based on outdated science and a fundamental misunderstanding of how the body works during fasting. When you fast, your body produces a massive surge in growth hormone, and this is one of the most important protective mechanisms we have. Growth hormone increases dramatically during fasting, specifically to protect your lean muscle mass while your body burns fat for energy. In fact, studies have shown that fasting can increase growth hormone levels by up to 1,300% in women and 2,000% in men. Your body is not stupid. It's not going to break down precious muscle tissue when it has abundant fat stores available for fuel. The growth hormone surge tells your body very clearly, preserve the muscle, burn the fat. This is why people who combine intermittent fasting with healthy keto consistently lose fat while maintaining or even building muscle, which is exactly what you want. You will not lose muscle mass while losing weight on this protocol, and in fact, many people find they actually get stronger because their body becomes so efficient at utilizing nutrients and because growth hormone is constantly elevated. Now let me get extremely practical and tell you exactly what you should be eating during your eating windows, because this is where most people sabotage themselves without even realizing it. I don't want you counting calories. I don't want you weighing and measuring every gram of food, because that's exhausting and unsustainable. Instead, I want you to focus on the visual volume of your plate, and here's the template you need to follow. Half of your plate needs to be salad or vegetables, and I'm talking about a significant volume here. This is not a tiny side salad. This is 7 to 10 cups of leafy greens and low-carb vegetables, and this is absolutely crucial for nutrients. These vegetables provide the vitamins, the minerals, the fiber, the phytonutrients, and all the cofactors your body needs to process fat efficiently and to keep your liver healthy. Your liver is your main fat-burning organ, and if you don't give it the nutrients it needs from vegetables, it cannot do its job properly. This is the difference between healthy keto and what people are doing when they just eat meat and cheese all day and wonder why they feel terrible. Then, 1/4 of your plate should be high-quality protein, and I'm talking about grass-fed beef, wild-caught fish, pasture-raised eggs, organic chicken, things like that. You don't need massive amounts of protein. Usually somewhere between 3 to 6 ounces per meal is sufficient for most people, because too much protein can actually convert to sugar in your body and raise insulin, which defeats the entire purpose. And then 1/4 of your plate should be healthy fats. But here's what you need to understand about fats. They are extremely calorie-dense, which means they take up less physical space on your plate, but they provide the majority of your energy. We're talking about things like avocado, olive oil, butter from grass-fed cows, coconut oil, nuts, seeds, and the natural fats that come with your protein sources. These fats are what keep you satisfied for hours. They're what signal to your body that it's safe to burn stored fat, because you're giving it plenty of dietary fat to work with. And they're what make this way of eating sustainable and enjoyable. Now, let me walk you through what the fastest possible fat loss schedule looks like using intermittent fasting, because if you want maximum results, you need to be strategic about your eating window. For most people starting out, I recommend beginning with a 16-hour fast and an 8-hour eating window, which means you might eat your first meal at noon and your second meal at 6 p.m., and then you fast from 6 p.m. until noon the next day. This 16-8 protocol is powerful because it gives your body 16 solid hours where insulin is low and fat burning is active. But if you really want to accelerate your results, once you've adapted to the 16-8 schedule, you can move to 1 meal a day, which is what I call OMAD, where you eat all your food in a 1 or 2 hour window and you fast for the remaining 22 to 23 hours. This is incredibly powerful because your insulin levels stay low almost the entire day. Your growth hormone stays elevated. Your body becomes a fat-burning machine, and the weight comes off faster than with any other protocol I've ever seen. And that brings me to a very important point regarding what you can expect in terms of timeline and adaptation. When you first start this, your body needs time to build the metabolic machinery to efficiently burn fat and produce ketones. For the first 3 days to 2 weeks, depending on how metabolically damaged you are from years of high-carb eating, you might feel tired, you might get headaches, you might feel irritable, and this is completely normal. This is your body transitioning from being a sugar burner to being a fat burner, and it takes time to build those new enzymes and pathways. But once you get through that adaptation phase, everything changes. Your energy becomes stable and powerful throughout the day. Your mental clarity becomes razor-sharp. Your hunger and cravings disappear. And the fat starts melting off at a rate that will honestly surprise you. And this is sustainable fat loss. This is not water weight. This is real body fat being burned for fuel because you've finally addressed the underlying insulin problem and you've given your body the conditions it needs to access those fat stores. This is the fastest way to lose weight because you're working with your biology instead of against it. You're lowering the one hormone that prevents fat burning, You're giving your body extended periods where it can actually burn fat, and you're providing high-quality nutrients so your metabolism runs at peak efficiency. This is not a crash diet, this is not starvation, this is you finally becoming metabolically healthy, and the rapid fat loss is simply the natural result of fixing the underlying problem. If you commit to this protocol, if you focus on those nutrient-dense vegetables, that quality protein, those healthy fats, and you give your body those extended fasting windows where insulin stays low and fat burning can occur, you're going to lose weight faster than you ever thought possible while feeling better than you've felt in years.